What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 23 for My Team Career Mode Season 3, Round Number 1, the Bahrain Grand Prix. We are here, Season 3 is here, we're starting our brand new season with our brand new car and our new teammate Fernando Alonso. So before we get into this, we had a look at this last time in the pre-season video, but this is the R&D. We've done all the stuff coming up to this race weekend, all the upgrades and everything, but this is the R&D. Mercedes there up top with Ferrari behind, then we're there in second, then it's Aston Martin, McLaren and Red Bull. That's the kind of top six that seem to be the closest. You got a little bit further down, you've got Alpine, Williams, Haas, all those guys towards the back end of the field, but it is still very close because there was no regulation change going into Season 3, so pretty much things have stayed as they were. A couple of teams have moved around just because, you know, they've brought more upgrades coming into this first race of the season, but we're sitting about where we were. I think we were about 5th quickest at the end of last season. Struggled a little bit in the last 3 races, to be honest, but I think that was more down to me and the car, you know, having mechanical difficulties in the last 2 races especially. But let's see where we are this time around. Of course, we've got Ferrari engines now. We've been running Mercedes engines since Season 1. We've switched it up to Ferrari engines for Season 3, so let's see how that does. Yuki Tsunoda goes quickest in Q1 for his new team Ferrari, and it's kind of the usual candidates out, both AlphaTauris, Lance Stroll now one of those AlphaTauri drivers, both Hasses, Sargent in the Williams and Zhou in the Alfa Romeo, so not really any surprises, kind of just what we've really been seeing from the last 2 seasons, especially from Season 2. It's pretty much always been both AlphaTauris, both Hasses, Sargent, and one of the Alfa Romeos, usually Zhou, going out in Q1, so no changes there. The slight little surprise was maybe George Russell in the Aston Martin. Of course, Russell now driving for Aston Martin in Season 3, alongside Ayumu Iwasa, my original teammate, so that's going to be an interesting driver lineup to see how that progresses this season. He was right down in is it P16 or P15? I think it's P16, the last of the ones that gets through to Q2 when you've got a 22 car grid. So yeah, he only just made it through, and it's a bit more surprising. He actually goes quickest in Q2, so obviously he must not have had a good run in Q1. But Fernando Alonso is out, P12 for my teammate. Doesn't make it through to Q3. Very unusual. I really expected this car to come through. Are we going to see Alonso struggle in the first race, just like he did last season, Aston Martin? Also out, Nick De Vries in the second Mercedes, and Carlos Sainz in the second Red Bull. Verstappen has made it through to Q3, so a decent start for him. Of course, last season was pretty woeful for Verstappen and just Red Bull as a whole. I think they managed 1 podium all season, and I'm pretty sure that was Perez, not Verstappen. So Verstappen went podiumless in Season 2, which is just crazy to think about. But he is at least through to Q3 here. He's got the early jab or 1-up on his teammate in the qualifying head-to-head. But here is my Q3 run. Now, I'm not going to lie, the car didn't feel amazing. Quite understeery. Now, this seems to be a thing for the My Team cars, just in general, from pretty much every F1 game that I've played with the My Team cars, so from 2020 onwards. Can't quite remember 2020 and 2021, but definitely 22 and 23. My Team cars have been a bit on the understeery side. They're better to drive in 23 than they were in 22, but just in general, because they were understeery but also a bit twitchy in F1 22. F1 23, they seem to be a bit more understeery. And weirdly enough, it seems like the more you upgrade the car, the more understeery it becomes, which is a bit concerning. But yeah, so the car didn't feel amazing. We were going okay though. Bearing in mind here, we are on paper the 3rd quickest team, so really we're expecting like P5, P6 is really about what I'd be expecting in quali, and that's what we do. P5 for us in quali. Charles Leclerc gets pole position for Ferrari, so he is trying to start out strong here. George Russell gets into the front row in his Mercedes. His old teammate Lewis Hamilton behind in 3rd, and Yuki Tsunoda makes it 2 Ferraris in the top 4. So my old teammate out qualifying me here, but in the Ferrari, we're P5. Albon put in a stonking lap for P6. So let's see what this first race of the season, the Bahrain Grand Prix, has in store.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round one of this year's Formula One World Championship. We go racing today around the 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Tsunoda, Davies, Albon, Norris, Iwasa, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, De Vries, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Ocon, Bottas, Gasly, Joe, Doohan, Magnussen, Liam Lawson, Sargent, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice. And they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Alright, here we go for the first race of Season 3. My Team Career Mode, 5 lights are out, and away we go. We're starting on the soft compound tyres. Everybody else in the top 10 starting on the mediums. We saved a set of softs, because that's just what I kind of seem to do now, as Leclerc's not had a very good start from pole. Hamilton and Russell, the old teammates, are fighting each other for the lead at the moment in these first few corners. Looks like Hamilton might just about be ahead as we see them go up to the next corner. Up to turn 4, we've kind of fallen back a little bit from that top 3 group, but we've had a decent start. We got past Tsunoda at the start. He did not have a very good start. Both Ferraris actually having a pretty poor start. Leclerc down from pole to 3rd, Tsunoda down to about 7th, I think. So not the best start for the 2 red cars, but on the soft compound tyres, I'm hoping to make a little bit of inroads on these guys here. Just, you know, at least pull away from the pack behind. I don't think I quite have the pace of these other cars, but yeah, we'll just have to see what we can do on these soft compound tyres. Like I said, I try and always save a set of soft tyres from qualifying. I think you get like 5 sets to use in quali, whereas I always try and just use 4 sets to get me through, and we managed to do that. So it means we've got another set of soft tyres, a brand new set that we have stuck on right here. So hopefully that might help us get up maybe onto the podium for this race. I mean, we're already in P4, so that's looking like a decent bet at the moment. As we continue on though, we haven't had the best first lap, to be honest. We have just kind of stayed at this same distance behind the top 3, and Norris is kind of hanging on behind us as well, with Iwasa then behind him in the other Aston Martin. Here's the race start again, looking mainly at the front of the field. Like I said, Leclerc did not get a good start off pole position. We actually challenged him a little bit into turn 1, but it was Russell and Hamilton battling each other going through turn 2 here. Hamilton on the inside, Russell on the outside. Hamilton just that little bit of a better run, and that Mercedes being a little bit of a better car than the Aston Martin put Lewis Hamilton into the lead of this Bahrain Grand Prix from starting 3rd on the grid. Bit further back here, and we have Oscar Piastri battling with Alexander Albon. Albon, like I said, he started P6. He put in a stonking lap in the Williams for P6 on the grid. He has fallen back a little bit already though at the start of this race. He's already down kind of towards the bottom of the top 10, now battling with Oscar Piastri. Fernando Alonso, my teammate, just behind these guys as well, trying to see if he can make a way past. Not been the best start for him. He's kind of just stayed where he was. In the end, I think Piastri is just going to get past Albon. Yes, he is. Put himself a little bit higher up, so Albon might start falling back now, with the pace in that Williams not being the best. We continue on with these guys up ahead, still not really putting much danger on these guys, as Gasly has retired from this race. Here's the first retirement from season 3, and I think we're going to see here his engine just goes up in smoke down this straight here, tries to pull it across, a little bit clumsy and a bit, he actually makes contact I think with his teammate Esteban Ocon there, absolutely holds all these cars up, little bit A little bit silly there by Gasly, but he is out of this race. As you can see, Hamilton's kind of broken away at the front, but now Leclerc on lap 8 is going for a move for P2 just ahead of us here. And that is Leclerc now up into P2 to try and now chase down Hamilton for this race victory. He started on pole, didn't have a good start, but he's now gotten himself back past Russell and into P2. The other Aston Martin of Ayumu Iwasa is actually putting in a pretty good performance. He's having a go at Lando Norris in the McLaren here. They head into turn 1. Iwasa there on the inside, got the outside for turn 2, I guess you'd call that, turn 3, but they're still going to be side by side as they now head down to turn 4. Iwasa is on the inside. Norris is going to try and hold this one. They've got a lot more experience in Formula 1, but Iwasa will get the position. So great driving from the driver who's only had half a season in Formula 1 in the first half of season 1 with my team to now step in season 3 at a front running team. Let's see how we can do. Norris now is, I think, trying to fight back from Iwasa, but just can't make a move into turn 1. So he's now going to try and get the run up to turn 4. Iwasa really squeezes him towards the inside, and Iwasa's just going to try and keep his car around the outside. A little bit compromised though, a bit of a squiggle on the back end for Iwasa, but he's still staying there with Lando Norris. This is great racing between these two, and especially for Iwasa, and he has managed to defend the position from the 3-time race winner, Lando Norris, from last season. So yeah, great stuff from Iwasa here in this race. He's in P5 right now. As ahead of us, Leclerc and Russell are still fighting, but Leclerc has spun around. He's spun the car, and he is not out of the race, but he's completely spun around. We're going to have a little look at a replay here. Just a bit too much pressure, I think. Buckling under the pressure from Russell behind. He just spins the car around, lets Russell pass, lets myself pass, and pretty much everybody else is going to funnel their way past him as well. Bit too much power as he went around the corner, spins the car, he's facing the wrong way, and it's going to get even worse for Leclerc because he is being disqualified from the Bahrain Grand Prix for parking in the way. I don't know, he just wasn't really moving to let everybody pass, but they've disqualified him. The FIA not happy with that, so that is Leclerc, the pole sitter, out of this race. Lap number 12, and there's still battles going on behind here. It's another McLaren, this time of Oscar Piastri, fighting with the Red Bull of Carlos Sainz. So Piastri trying to get past Sainz, and I think he has done it. He's got past the Spaniard. Sainz may try and have a little look back here. No, not quite. He doesn't have the space. And Piastri now up another position ahead of the Spaniard. We are heading into the pits on lap number 12 for our one and only pit stop onto medium tyres. Now I am wondering now, as we come into the pits, I completely wasn't paying attention and I did not click X to turn in, so we have a late turn in. It's a bit of a slow pit stop. It's like a 3.1, so it's not horrible, but it's not great. That was completely my fault, just not paying attention when we were coming into the pits. I think we're the first one to come in to the pits here, pretty much one of the first anyway. We come out in P14, I believe that is. Lance Stroll, the car ahead of us, so he was in last at the start of this race. Yuki Tsunoda now is fighting his way back through. We've seen some good performances from these drivers in new teams this season. Now it's Tsunoda's turn to try and get past the one and only Max Verstappen. So these guys in real life could potentially be teammates at some point in the future, but this time around Tsunoda's gotten ahead of Verstappen, so awesome stuff from him after a pretty poor start. We are kind of stuck behind Stroll here, but I'm waiting for the DRS to come into effect right now. As we come down the main straight, DRS will be activated and we're just going to breeze past Stroll in the AlphaTauri. He's not really going to put up much of a fight at all because he hasn't pitted yet and he's in a much slower car than ours. Don't know why I was braking quite early for that first corner, because sometimes I was braking way too late and going really deep. Other times, yeah, I was braking really early. Next lap around, a bunch of cars are in the pits. One of those is George Russell, who is there on the right side. We're going to potentially get the undercut on him here as we come round turn 1. We're on the outside of Russell, he's on the inside, and we have done it. We've got the undercut on George Russell, and we're now up into P2, well, effectively P2 in this race. Once the drivers who haven't pitted have, we will be in P2 behind Hamilton in this race. Speaking of Hamilton, here's his teammate, Nick De Vries. I mean, De Vries has done pretty much nothing this entire career mode in the AlphaTauri for the first 2 seasons, but he's now driving in the fastest car on the grid, the Mercedes. His teammates leading the way. De Vries is way down in, I think he's battling for like P10 right now, so at least he might at least bring out a point, which would be his first point in Formula 1, because he's yet to score. Trying to get past Ocon there, wasn't quite able to get past at that point, and my teammate Alonso is just behind those guys as well in that fight for the final points in this race. More battles with Carlos Sainz, who's falling down the order a little bit here. He's now got a Wasser trying to get past him, because I don't know what happened with Sainz, but he had a really good pit strategy or something, because he jumped up to like P5 from like P8 in the pits, but now he's seemingly falling back a little bit. This is a Wasser. Wasser was ahead of Sainz before, wasn't quite able to get past at that point there, but will get past him a couple of laps later with a pretty unremarkable just, you know, blast down the front straight with the DRS. We now have another battle. This time it is with Fernando Alonso. Sorry if you can hear my dog. He is grumbling just underneath my chair because he's got a ball under there. So sorry if you can hear that. Fernando Alonso has just managed to get past Esteban Ocon, so following De Vries through. So I wanted to at least have something, show you something with my team at this episode, because I'll be honest, Alonso, that's pretty much the only move he made the entire race. Piastri trying to make his way through as well. He's just gotten past Carlos Sainz as well. So Sainz really starting to fall back a bit here. Just not having the pace in that Red Bull car. To be fair, it's not one of the quicker cars on the grid. Now we're nowhere near Hamilton. Hamilton is absolutely buggered off in the lead of this race. And we're just trying to defend from Russell and Norris, but we've got it all caught up. Round the left-hander, got the back end stepped out. Russell's passed. Norris is now trying to get past as well. We're going to be side by side with our fellow British driver as we head round these final couple of corners here, and we're side by side with Lando Norris down this straight, heading down into the final corner. Can we do anything here? We're actually going to let him go. He had a little bit more overspeed than us there, but this means we're going to pick up the DRS. I don't think he's going to have DRS from Russell ahead. He's not quite close enough. So we're going to try and blast back past him down the main straight into turn 1 here. On the inside, he defends quite harshly. We're on the brakes, but I'm not that confident on the brakes in this car into turn 1, and he manages to outbrake us, but maybe we can scoop it up, get a little bit out of line here. They're off the line, but maybe we can do this now with DRS and go for the inside, going into turn 4. A good run, a big dive bomb up the inside. We almost go a bit too deep. He tries coming back at us, but we've gotten back past Norris, but we are now in P3, and Russell's now over a second ahead of us, so I think that's P2 gone for us. But can we hold on to this final podium position, as there is a lot of pressure going on behind now? We've got Norris, we've got Iwasa, who has now joined this group, along with Piastri. So we've got, well, one Aston Martin ahead of us by a decent way now. I don't think we're catching Russell. And then you've got a checkerboard behind me of McLaren, Aston, McLaren. So McLaren and Aston Martin looking good so far at the start of this season, but can we hold on to this P3 podium finish? As this is further back once again, Nick De Vries he's now caught up to Carlos Sainz on the final lap of this race, and he's going to try and get past Sainz for, oh sorry, I think this is actually Verstappen. Sorry, I think Sainz is a bit further back. This is Max Verstappen. Nick De Vries is trying to go for the move on Verstappen. Verstappen's gone back up the inside though into turn 4. It's going to be an almighty battle between the two Dutch drivers, but if this just shows how quick that Mercedes is, the fact that De Vries has managed to get past Verstappen, and also how the Red Bull isn't quite up to scratch at the moment, then I don't know what does. Lewis Hamilton crosses the line. He wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. The driver who was denied the championship last season because of myself winning the title, he takes the first round of the season. Russell comes home P2, but this time he's in an Aston Martin, not in a Mercedes, and we just about hold on to P3. Very tight battle with the two McLarens and Iwasa. In the end there, we pick up driver of the day as well. That is the first race of the season done, and it's a podium for us.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes. your race winners.
So there we have it. Lewis Hamilton wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. He wins the opening round of Season 3. So he's still going for that 8th championship. He was denied it last season by ours. He was supposed to be retiring at the end of last season, but he's come back with vengeance for the first race here to try and get that 8th World Championship. George Russell comes home P2 for his new Aston Martin team, and we come home for P3. It's a podium in the first race of the season, not quite the highs of winning the first race of the season like we did last season in Saudi Arabia. But a podium still pretty good for where our car is sitting at the moment, and I'm pretty happy about that. We didn't quite have the pace here this weekend. Alonso only manages P11 in the end, so no points for my teammate, which is very unfortunate. Really expected him to do better. And next round is Saudi Arabia, and we know how much of a terrible time Alonso had in Saudi Arabia last season. In the Constructors after that first round, Mercedes are leading the Constructors' Championship by 1 point to Aston Martin, then a couple of points to McLaren. Then you've got myself, TJ Motorsport, Ferrari and Red Bull, the final points scoring cars, and then every other team not scoring any points this first race. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.